Welcome back to RGR Football. I'm Ryan. This is me going rogue on the Kansas City Chiefs and the NFL, and I just want to say happy Thanksgiving to all of my subs and all of you who might be finding the channel for the first time this time. It's a really interesting week, and the Chiefs are coming off of a bye, and I just wanted to throw some information at you on a number of topics. We'll even hear from the Derek Carr here later, just as a little anecdote about what it's like to play at this point in December in Kansas City for what is the division lead. And I want to go over a few things that the analytics have been pointing out, because this is a game where the Raiders are going to come in. They want to run. They have been effective at it all season. They got behind and had to throw last time against the New York Jets, and it really put them in a hole, took away from what they were able to do, and I expect them to come back completely reset and try to continue to do what's worked for them in the past. And that has been to run rookie Josh Jacobs, who's having a great year, and honestly, their entire rookie class is doing pretty well, but also to mix it up a little bit, because Washington's been kind of subbing in there as well, gave him a few carries last week, and I think that might be another trend to try to hit the Chiefs with a little change of speed out of the backfield there. But it all comes back down to, especially at home, for the Chiefs to defend the run. And there are some keys going forward, and I've been working on the analytics for this as we get some of the numbers, and I want to show you guys just where it all comes from. And as I bring this up, this is produced by Rogue Analytics, the analytics company that I run. And this is one of the things that we look at. And there are a number of factors here. I just selected some that looked to me that play the part. And you can see as they go through week by week how some of these things progressed. And it's very important to watch the almighty in this particular set of analysis is that the opposition's rushing yards per attempt. Now, to make this graph work, it is multiplied by 10, just so you guys know that the scale was not quite the same when you go up against whole numbers. But that said, to even this out, you can see the trend lines, and that's really what's important here is how the Chiefs started out giving up a lot of yards per carry. And you can balance that by, depending what you do on a given game, changes how often and how much dedication the other team can give towards running the ball. So rather than looking at total yards given up in a given game, I'm looking at yards per carry. And so you can see that the Chiefs started out middle of the road, not very good, but they got worse. A couple of games it took them to get back down. And then they started to put things together. And in this particular start, what we saw is that both the volume of the yellow line, which is how much Spagnuolo calls the base 4-3 defense, as well as the snaps for one player in particular, who was Derek Carr, started out really low, and that's where you started to give up a lot of yards. As his playtime came up, you see them eventually cross here, going into week 5. And this is what drives down the initial look at the yards per carry. Now, it is the play of Derek Carr, as well as the fact that Steve Spagnuolo started to call more base. Now, this is still a time when Colin Saunders wasn't playing a whole lot, Reggie Ragland wasn't playing a whole lot. And at this point, that's when the crux started to come together. We're going to look at snaps for all the players here in a little bit, but I want to focus right now on that section in the middle of the season. Denver, Green Bay, Minnesota, which I think is probably their most successful game overall as a team for the season. And then the debacle against Tennessee and a little bit of a recovery. What you saw was some spark against those Los Angeles Chargers. And I always forget to say Los Angeles, so I'm glad I got that right for once. But you can see the confluence here of where everything started to come together and they played complete games. It is where not only they got the yards per carry down to a manageable level, but they also had the snaps for Ragland up. They had the 4-3 base being called an average of around 28% as it worked out through those games. That's what this yellow line is showing you. And then you have snaps for Saunders, Noddy, in there as well, all a little bit up. And they progress through that. They get through Minnesota, and then Tennessee happens. And when Tennessee happens, everything goes haywire. The game plan went wrong. They sat one guy. They played Joey Ivy against the run quite a bit, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But because of the game structure that they were expecting, that's why they went to that. So I wanted to show you that as the explosion of giving up yards per carry, and total yards would go with this, to Derrick Henry and the Titans, you saw a drop-off in how much the base defense was called. You saw a drop-off in what the players played. And we're going to get into those specifically here in a second. And then you saw a rebound. The yards per rush came down. They held Melvin Gordon to what was a poor day for him. And really, the Chiefs did what they needed to do. And it's interesting here because some player snaps went up. Reggie was about the same. But the interesting thing is you got better play out of Frank Clark and Tyrann Mathieu. Two players that had been highly sought after and hadn't quite lived up to billing until that point. And you got this drop-off in the base percentage. And that is significant because that means you were stopping the run in the nickel. And that helps immensely for what this team wants to do. It's a step in the right direction. They have to see if they can repeat that against the Raiders. And when we look at the next graph, what's really important is these are the players in particular. And you can see the one that stands out is how everything went along. And on this graph, yellow is the yards per carry. Everything's going along. And in the midst of when they started to play well, and I have to give credit to the addition of Reggie Ragland as it started the run, both Saunders and Noddy were falling off, and Pennell had not started playing yet. Didn't have snaps against Denver. That was a game where Reggie Ragland made a big impact. That continued on to the next week where you got Pennell into the game. You saw more snaps from all of these guys. Pennell, Saunders, Noddy, Ragland. All of them came up against Green Bay. Didn't quite work out then. There's the Aaron Rodgers factor. And then you saw it stay about even. A little bit of change. Reggie played a little bit more against Minnesota where you saw a little bit of a dip for Saunders. Pennell about the same. And you got more out of Derek Noddy, a little bit less out of Derek Noddy, but you got more out of Ragland. And that is still in this section in the middle of the season where they were very effective. And then came the Titans. Again, from player snap perspective, you see the yards per carry given up, and everybody is falling off in their snaps and how much they played. Pennell was the guy that was sat in favor of Joey Avi for his pass rush skills, is what Steve Spagnuolo told us later. And that is a significant misstep against a team that wanted to run the ball. Well, the Raiders are a team that wants to run the ball too. And so you saw with the Chargers, you saw a big spike. Pennell back on the field. He actually played more snaps than he had played even against Green Bay. And you saw an uptick for Saunders, for Noddy. And Reggie was right about the same. Contributing definitely higher than he was early in the season when they were giving up all kinds of run, but not quite as high as he was up in the midfield stretch. I expect a little bit more of that. But you saw the yards per carry come down dramatically. And that's the difference in what they've been doing in trying to stop the run. And that is what they have to do, initially at least, against the Raiders to get them in a hole so that they can't let the run eat them up. If they can do that, if Steve Spagnuolo can call some base defense and keep these four players in particular in a steady rotation on the field, on first definitely, and on quite a bit of the second downs as well, that sets them up for good play following. And that's really what it's going to be about. And in the friendly confines of home, in Arrowhead Stadium, where you have all that help from the crowd, if you can make sure that you keep an eye on not just defending the pass, because they will try to come back with you, with Williams and with a couple of other things, especially if they're down, Carr will try to let it fly. I think John Gruden's got some wrinkles in there for it. But if you can keep these guys in mind and call a little bit more base defense than you've seen during that stretch, and definitely against the Titans, combined with the hopefully higher output that's sustained from Frank Clark as well as Tyrann Mathieu, I think this is a game that can really put the Chiefs on the map. And it's a difficult task for an opponent coming in, and that's definitely given away by how Derek Carr feels about it. I want you to hear a little bit from him, but before I do that, I just want to say thank you for all of you. If you're new around here, hit the sub, the notification. Make sure you hit the bell for when you get something sent to you in a notification, as well as leave a thumbs up if you like this style of video, and leave your comment below. What are you looking for against these Raiders? I hope you had a great holiday, and here's a little bit from the opponent.
I honestly, every time we play there, it's funny you said that. The last couple of times, it's like, oh, we're playing the Chiefs again. I'm like, oh, dang, we haven't won there yet, And it hits you, later on, It's not something that's, conscious or anything like that. And they've been a really good football team for a long time. It's a tough place to win. You can ask a lot of people that have been through there. It's not easy, right? And I think even the year that the Patriots, went back or went to the Super Bowl, they got blown out there in Arrowhead. It's not easy to play there. It's loud. It's rowdy. They put up a lot of points, right? They do a lot of things well on defense. So it's just tough to play there. Tough place, but that's why we play the games. You know, you look forward to moments like this.